So 2018 was a busy year for robbery and homicide detectives with the Corpus Christi Police Department. Over the last 12 months, there were 24 homicides, and while a majority of them have been marked as solved, there are 2 cases that remain open. Our Bill Churchwell reports.
When it comes to the murder cases investigated by the Corpus Christi Police Department,
most of them that we see probably have to do with some drugs. Some could be with domestic.
Detective Crispin Mendez says very few of the victims are ever random targets.
Each case it's its own case.
One of those cases with its own unique characteristics is the double murder of Jesus Gomez and Isabel Cuellar back in February. The crime was featured on an Unsolved Files report, in which I spoke with Gomez's son, who discovered a horrific scene inside of his dad's trailer at I-37 and Upriver Road.
Puddles of blood, extensive amounts of blood.
That same day that we got called out, this Corpus Christi PD, Robstown PD had found 2 burned bodies.
The investigation showing Gomez and Cuellar were murdered at the home, their bodies transported to a tree farm 16 miles from where Gomez was last seen. Today, the case remains unsolved.
Interviewed several people, run down every lead that we can.
The second murder that remains open, taking place in August, when the body of a 48-year-old woman was found in the middle of a dirt road at Slough Road on the city's south side. The medical examiner says Brenda King was shot in the head. However, details on her death are still limited. Police continue to work to solve both cases and ask anyone with information to step forward. Bill Churchwell, 3 News.
And of course, call Corpus Christi Police if you have any information on that case or any of the cases that remain unsolved.